What's up, everybody? John Sharmiho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an EP review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new EP from the band Cianide, entitled Unhumanized. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Chicago, Illinois, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be very loud, aggressive, doomy style of death metal. Yeah. Normally, when I do reviews on this channel, I really want to do my best to move forward, not backwards. Meaning, when I'm in a new year, I want to strictly talk about releases that came out in the brand new year. But there are two Hells Headbangers releases that came out at the very late end of 2019 that I want to talk to you about this week. And I really would feel like I haven't accomplished any sort of justice if I didn't talk about these releases with you today, or this week to be specific. And the first release we're going to talk about is the newest EP from Cianide. Now, I don't really think I need to say too much about Cianide that I really haven't already said about this band in the past, but for the uninitiated, this band is an absolute institution. Very well-known, well-regarded, well-respected underground death metal band. One of the loudest and heaviest death metal bands I've ever seen. Of course, this is a band that has a very rich history of consistency when it comes to full-length material. Most notably, their early to mid-90s output with albums such as The Dying Truth, A Descent into Hell, Death, Doom, and Destruction, and so on and so forth. And even with later material such as the last time we had heard a full-length from them with 2011's Gods of Death. Absolutely phenomenal album. And of course, this band is still a very big force to be reckoned with when it comes to playing live shows. Of course, I got to see this band play live, Death, Doom, and Destruction in its entirety at Hells Headbash in 2015. Seeing them a few years later at Destroying Texas Fest, where they absolutely leveled BFE Rock Club. One of the heaviest sets I've ever seen. Just absolutely great band full of great people. And this band is still up and active in working on music. I believe the last time we had heard something from them was, I want to say a couple of years ago with a split with Necrofilth. They had a couple of songs. I think one was a cover and one was a brand new track. Of course, Cianide still sounded sick. They still sounded really good. But then when we found out that there was going to be a brand new offering from them, I was very excited and curious to see how this band was going to keep up with their sound. And of course, if I'm not mistaken, this is the very first EP this band has ever put out. And that first EP is with Unhumanized. It's only 5 tracks, and it clocks in at around 26 minutes in length, and pretty much for the majority of this EP, you're going to get the Cianide sound in its absolute maximum format, just straight out punishing from the get-go. It's very relentless, and I absolutely loved every single minute of this. This is definitely proof of why Cianide are one of the heaviest death metal bands on the face of this earth. And trust me, you're going to want to have to listen to this very, very loudly on the best sorts of sound systems that you have, because this is definitely one of those bands that requires it. Of course, from the minute you hear the opening riffs of Serpent's Wake to tracks like The Weapon of Curse and then the closing track, Shadow of the Claw, you already know what you're going to be in for with this album. And the musicianship on this EP is just punishing, bar none. Crazy riff after crazy riff, rattling bass tone after rattling bass tone, loud drum sounds after loud drum sounds. You just get all of that pent-up anger, rage, and aggression all throughout this entire EP, and I think it really sounds awesome. Like I said, the riffs on this thing are just bar none. Classic Cianide sorts of sounds going on here, and I definitely think it really works out well to this band's advantage. A lot of great riffs, a lot of great deliveries. Definitely you can tell the doom influence that this band has in bits and spurts here, but once you get to that death metal sort of rage, you're going to get a lot of death metal rage and aggression here with these riffs. The bass work on here is very good too, very audible, very well established here. I definitely think there's a little bit of a difference here this time around once you realize that Sanford Parker is behind the mixing and production engineering of this album. I definitely think this brings out the best in Cyanide's classic sort of sound here, and I think it really works out well. When it comes to the drums, it's pretty much the typical Cianide drum performance. All aggression, all passion, all energy. A lot of great determination and stamina in this drum performance. And I think it's really, really killer. I love this drum performance a lot, and it's definitely one of the better drum performances I've heard on a Cianide release. And when it comes to the vocals, Mike's vocals are very angry, in your face, very guttural. He has this very distinctive and recognizable sort of guttural roar going on here, and I think he does his vocal style here very well here. Definitely telling a lot of really wild and crazy stories throughout the 5 tracks that are on this EP, and it just makes for an all the more entertaining listening experience to see what has been pent up in Mike's mind and what he's saying and how he's delivering it, and it's just absolutely wild. I love Mike's vocal performance here. So overall, this is another continuation of why Cianide are one of the best death metal bands on the planet. If you're a fan of this band's past or previous works, you're going to love the fuck out of Unhumanized. This is some seriously top quality death metal here, and I'm definitely excited for what's next from them in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box to how you can get a hold of this EP and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Cianide Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, listen to this EP in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worth being purchased or not. You can stream it digitally, and it is available physically in a wide multitude of physical formats. I believe CD, tape, and 12-inch vinyl. I don't know what's left because I know a lot of people have been purchasing this, but if it's still available, definitely grab your hands on it or whatever. So again, the EP is Unhumanized by Cianide. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very strong 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic death metal from one of the best Chicago death metal bands in the world, period. So if you happen to have heard this EP, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, or we can go from there. Or any of you guys into Cianide, definitely let me know. Wednesday is another Hells Headbangers release, and I'm pretty sure the good bulk of you know what's coming Wednesday, so get ready for that. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until next time, Army Hell out.